Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining our meeting today. Today in this webinar, we're going to be going through iProx variations and some improvements that we've got in that space. So we've had variations available in iGyro forever, but these improvements will allow you to add contract time onto your contracts, extensions of time, also per line item margin settings as well. And we're making use of iProx being integrated into the variation screen to give you those additional benefits. So what we're looking at here is the iGyro portal screen. So I've just loaded up a test job and I'll go through the changes in just a second. Alrighty, so originally we had our variations, they're on the management tab. So we've got some figures in here to help you manage your job and work out all the final costs and things. But the variations used to live here. So we just got a little note at this stage just to let you know that it's moved to this new tab, which is just over here. So to create your variations, look at your old variations, you need to click on that link or click onto variations. So all of your existing variations have been migrated through to this new setup here. So you haven't lost anything, everything's still there. Looks similar, just with slightly different controls there. This is the first screen. I've got one variation here. And I guess to start with, I'll just look at creating a brand new variation. So over on this right-hand side here, we've got this new variation button. So we can just click that plus button. It'll give us a blank line to work with. It's a blank variation. And the little button on the right-hand side here, which we can edit the line items. So if we click on that one, this opens up the variation screen and you can start making your edits. So previously we had the line items. So you would just add a row and you could just freeform text and put any figures in that you like. But we have now integrated this with iProx, which you can draw on your full catalog as well. So if you just wanted to run through like the old way, you can still do that. There's just a little plus button here to add a line item. So we can click on add a blank item. So it'll pop up this familiar iProx interface here, but to add an item, we can just type in here. Okay, for the variations, the categories don't really mean too much in here. We're not using categories at this stage. But you do get these extra controls here. So you can enter in a cost. So if you know the cost for this upgrade or this item that you're adding in the variation, you can type your cost in, or you can type in your retail price, and it'll work back from your margin. So if you decide here that you wanted to run off a 29% margin, you can do that, and it'll adjust your figures accordingly. All right, so once you've made those changes, I'll come back to this description in a second. We'll just hit the save button, and that was a simple line item that we've added there. Now, because this is just like iProx, we've got a few options here where we can change like the quantity and the pricing straight from this grid. We can double click that and do a quantity of 2, and that'll change our pricing there. If you double click the item over here, that'll open up that edit screen and you've got finer control. Alrighty, I'll shoot back to our variation screen. You can see it's updated the figures here as well. So we just added those items in here. So I'll just have a quick look at this variation here. This is a pre-populated one with the line items. So all of these were, I guess, migrated in from the old system. So they're just standard line items in here. But you can double click any of those and edit them just like we saw before. All right, descriptions and notes. So you can add a description into each one of these items. And just like iProx, it'll just show in italics when you print this out. You also have the internal comments option. So if you need to make a note for your internal staff, you can do that here. And you've always got a reference for that. Okay, now I'm just having a look here. So this was manually typed in, so it's not connected to a catalog in any way. But if we wanted to add, say, an exhaust fan, we can do that from iProx from here. So we've got our iProx button that we can bring across, and we can type in that filter, just like iProx. Okay, so I can find the exhaust fans, and I'll add one of those in. Okay, so it's added a line item here, connected to the catalog. So again, the benefit of that is you can see the pricing, and if something changes in the terms of the catalog pricing changes, you can see that change in here as well and update the pricing from the master. Right, so we should be able to open that catalog item as well just to see what the original pricing was. So we change that figure, say 700, we'll get that warning to say that the pricing has changed. Open the master catalog, we can see what the original pricing was. And we also have that option to update item from the master. We'll bring our pricing back in. Okay, now extensions of time. So this section here, so we can leave it as 0. By default, it comes in as 0, and you may be creating a variation that doesn't affect the contract time, leave it as 0. If, however, you do want to adjust the contract time, you can. So if this variation was going to add an additional 20 days on, we would type that in there. And you notice as we're working through this whole page, you don't need to save anything. So if you quickly look at the top right-hand corner where my mouse is there, when I make a change, you just get a little flash indicating that it's saved. This whole screen just saves automatically. Okay, so when the client signs off on this, 20 working days will be added to the contract. So some other things here, we've got the consent authority. Because we're working on iProx, you've also got this option here to choose your consent authority. So as you know, our iProx catalog can be changed based on what your consent authority is and whether you've got a consent authority loading. So at the moment, it's coming in with a loading of 1. If we choose a different consent authority, just notice the prices down this side here and total figure. If I change that to another consent authority, all those figures have changed to suit. Right, so you can turn that off as well. So we can turn off the area loading for an individual item if you need to. Okay, that one's highlighted in bold because we've turned the loading off, so it's just letting you know that that change has occurred. Okay, now we can just shoot back to the variations screen again, and you'll notice there it's telling us that we've got 20 days in this contract. So it's not approved, hasn't been declined, and it has not been claimed yet. Righty, now we've got a generate PDF option here. So when you're happy with that variation, we can generate that straight from here. Previously on the old variation screen, there'd be a link to generate a Word document. This one will go straight to PDF if we click that button. One thing I did want to show you actually just before I finalize that one, we'll go back into line items. And this may change moving forward, but we've added a category in here, variation notes. I've just added one note in here, which I'll just add into this one. So the note's added at the bottom of the printout, and it's just a standard note that should go with your variations. So we may add more of those in the future, but that's just one standard straight from our original documentation. Righty, we'll go back to variations and we'll generate that. Once that's generated, it'll pop the PDF file in the attachments tab, but just give you this link to download that. So you can click it, it'll open it up on this page, or you can right click, save it as, it will go down to your downloads folder. And this is what the final variation looks like. So each of the line items are listed. Because we had 20 working days on this variation, it's added an additional line item here to indicate that they're signing off on a 20 working day extension of time. We've improved the breakdown section here to let everyone know that what their original contract price, what their amended contract price is, the price of this variation, and what the total price will be if they approve this variation with the appropriate notes with that. Now, this additional section here is a similar breakdown, but for the building period. So this will only show if this variation has additional working days. Otherwise, that won't be shown on here. And obviously then we've got our signature section as well. Actually, that's the thing to note here. This little note right here, this is driven by that note that I added in that last screen. Okay, so that was, if I go back into the line items, that was this note at the bottom. So you can double click that and make changes to the wording, and that will be what is printed out on that PDF. Okay, now I haven't gone through reordering these as well. So if you'd like to choose the order that these items come in, so at the moment they're just coming in as you put them in, that's the last item that's added, but you can rearrange them. So we can just drag them up to the top and it will save as you go. That order will stay. Now I'm just going to go back into that blank variation that we're working on before. And we didn't go through this reference section here. So you do need to generate a reference number for this. And obviously you'd add a description for your own purposes. Now let's say we're doing a mod wood deck upgrade. Move that item just for now. Now I'll add one from the catalogue. Provide upgrade from treated pine decking. And say we know it's a 50 meter squared deck. Okay, that will be our variation price. We may want to choose the consent authority. Now, these things here, so obviously you're going to go through, you'd print that off, you'd send it to the client for signature, and at some stage they're either going to decline it or approve it. And these are grayed out. You can't make a change until you've at least got a reference number here. So we'll generate that reference number, and straight away we've got these boxes here, and we can choose the dates. Righty, so let's say that the client has gone through and approved that. We'll mark that off. And on our variation screen, we're going to see that they've got a date for approved. I should actually generate that as well. Alrighty, and we've also got our claim date. So at some stage, you want to know that the client has paid for the variation. So your bookkeeper should come in here and make sure that they mark off that when that's been claimed. All right, if you did need to make a change to this, you can just sort of unlock it by, all this is locked down. Once we've got the date approved in there or declined, you can't make changes to this anymore. Can't change the figures. You can't add new line items. But we can just take that date approved out. It's just sort of a fail safe to stop you from modifying something that's already been approved. So we can open that back up and make whatever changes that we needed. So we did want to make a change. We can do that. Obviously, you'd like to get that back out to the client as well, and you would need to regenerate that again. There's no button to do that once it's already happened. So we'll go into attachments, and this is where they're all stored, and we'll just delete out that variation too. All right, that'll allow us then to regenerate that. Okay, so I'll just approve that one again. Okay, so I think I've gone through most of the new screens and how that works. Actually duplicating one last thing. So if we click on that item there, there's a button here to copy the variation. Click on that one, that will make a copy of that variation and with all the line items intact, all copied through. So very useful if, say, you've given that to a client, they've decided they wanted to cross off 2 or 3 different items on that. So they declined this one, they want a new one just missing those items. You could duplicate it, come into here, delete the items out that they're not interested in, and then approve this one instead. Okay, now, so that's the editing screens. One very useful report, which is good for your management team and your bookkeepers. If we go to reports, we'll just type in variations, look for outstanding variations. And this is a complete list of all the open variations that are due for payment, I suppose, in your database. And a good way to look at this is just to group it by job number. So you can drag the job number up to here, and then it's grouped by those job numbers. All right, so here's the job that we've been working on today. And you can see the variations there. You can see there's a date in here. It's just letting us know that there's an open variation there that has not been claimed yet. So very useful for your bookkeeper to periodically look at, or for a management perspective to see if you've missed a variation somewhere. Okay, so I think I've gone through everything I need to go through there. All right, looks like we're good. Thank you for joining, everyone, but we'll get this recording out to you as well. And if you've got any concerns or questions, please let me know. We'll see you again next time.